Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Crowley,
And I'm Mike Smith.
and this is The Murder Project. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I know
We're back.
we are back. I noticed some of you guys are probably thinking to yourself, it has been a while since you have heard our voices, and you would be correct because we had to hit the pause button and take a little bit of a break, but we are back. We are in action. We are ready to record, and we are ready to bring the episodes and content to you. This episode is more of a welcome back episode to talk to you guys about what we've been doing, how things have been going, and what is the future direction of the podcast. It's one of those episodes where we're not going to really touch in on any specific crime. We just wanted to give you guys an update about what we've been doing. As always, my man Mike Smith is in the house with me, and we are both back, and we're ready to rock and roll. So how have things been going, my man Mike Smith?
Dude, it was so much longer than we ever thought it was going to be. It felt like everything just was getting in our way to help connect to get the podcast done.
Mm-hmm.
It was my work schedule. I mean, I'd already started by then. And then you traveling for work, just my scheduling itself, because now I get up so early and I have to go to bed so early because of my schedule. It just wasn't working out.
Yep.
And so it feels really good to be back. We've been talking about it the whole time. I don't think we've seen each other once and hung out where we didn't talk about this.
Yeah. When are we going to get back and do it?
Right.
And if you remember back, the listeners and everybody, if you remember back to one of the last episodes we did, which was the Railroad Killer,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about how busy our schedules were and that it was a busy season for you.
Yes.
Then it was a busy season for me also because I was working and doing my side job at the same time. Plus, we're doing the podcast. Mike's hitting 12-hour days every day. And it just went radio silent from there. And
Yep.
one of the things that happened right after that was when Mike referenced the traveling is that I had been working on getting a new position, a new job altogether. And it had been a long time in the making trying to get it. Well, I finally got it. And it
Mhm.
was like, they called me on a Thursday and said, we need you to start on Sunday.
Right.
It's a yes or no. It's a go, no go. And I'm like, I'm in. And I wish I could say specifically what company it was. It's not top secret. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing crazy. It is a very good job. It's one I wanted for a long time. But unfortunately, with the name of the company, and if I say the name of the company and it ties it into everything I do outside of work.
Mhm.
So it's not on any of my social medias or it's nowhere. And unfortunately, I had to travel a lot. So despite your prior experiences in any job you had,
Mm-hmm.
you had to do a 2-year apprenticeship. And in that 2-year apprenticeship, there is tons of travel, tons of training, and my actual work location was never the town that I lived in.
Never.
In the last 2 years, I have worked in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, and California.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was gone all the time.
You were, and then I mean, a lot of the times when you'd come back, you were just as busy.
Mm-hmm. I was
all with family things and mowing.
Yeah, I was still doing the other job, and this is the off season for that. Obviously, It's for us. If you're listening to this in current time, it is the middle of the winter. So
Yeah, specifically, it is the 1st of January, 2025,
it is January 1st.
and it hasn't felt like winter, but today sure does.
Yeah, it does.
It's cold
It is.
and
So,
dreary.
yes, both of those things are true. And with all of the travel and then coming home and having all that stuff going on, it's like I blinked and it was like 2 years was gone.
It was.
And as you mentioned, we talked about getting back together and doing the episode. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm working in Flagstaff right now. When I come home, or I'm in San Diego or Phoenix or Ponca City, Oklahoma, if anybody's ever heard of that one, spent a lot of time there.
Wow.
Beaumont, Texas, Las Vegas.
Footloose town?
What's that?
Kidding.
Yeah.
Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah. Las Vegas, New Mexico, not Nevada.
Nobody get excited.
If
you've ever been through Las Vegas, New Mexico, it is nothing to be excited about.
No. There is a restaurant there called, I think it's Charlie's Spick and Span.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah?
Best place ever. Yeah, shout out to them. If you ever go through Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Shout out to Charlie's.
To Spick and Span. Yeah, you should go there and eat their breakfast. It's phenomenal. Don't try to go there for dinner because they ain't open.
Oh.
They won't be there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's just
a breakfast lunch?
Mm-hmm. And they have delicious breakfast food and pastries.
Dang.
I mean,
it's a good pastry.
Yeah, it's a full go.
Mm-hmm.
So then we blink, and over 2 years has gone by, and me and Mike were hanging out a couple of weeks ago, and we decided, we're like, hey, we got to get this thing going. So we got us some new microphones.
Mm-hmm.
We sat down.
Sound good.
And they sound really good. And we got us some new microphones. We upgraded a couple things. And what I think is important is that we're back. We want to bring you guys more content, and we want to bring the show up to the level where I think it should be. Mike and I have, I think, a different style of podcast, but we also bring something to the table that, not by fault of anybody else, but we have a different perspective because of our backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the main thing that people are looking for. You know, you listen to a lot of podcasts, even very successful ones, and you hear a lot of things that when you're talking about the world of true crime, they sometimes say things like they don't know how guns work. They don't know how somebody could get away with a cop, pulling over the murderer and letting them go because they just pulled them over for a busted taillight. And they're like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? Well, very easily.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pulling somebody over for a busted taillight, that's all you're doing. You're just being like, hey, you got a busted taillight. You know about it? Here's a warning or a citation, and you're on your way.
Yeah. And if the information has not gotten to the system, then there's no way for that person to know anything. Right.
Yeah. And so we that's something that we bring to the table, where we try really hard and successfully, I think, to see both sides of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You see it from not just the criminal justice side, the investigation side, but also from the criminal side.
Yeah.
Like how maybe they perceived it based on what we've read, and how we just see it as just a couple of dudes talking about murder.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun. You get a lot of perspectives. More bang for your buck.
Yep. And we hammered out a solid 56 episodes before we had to take a break. So we're kind of in a race to 100. We'd like to get 100 episodes out there and more. But like I said, we're starting to upgrade some of our equipment and some of our stuff to bring you guys better content. One of the things that we did most recently is we put the podcast on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah, that's big.
And so our goal with that is to not only have the audio files on YouTube, so that if somebody's listening on YouTube Music or whatever, or watching it on their computer, they have access to it on YouTube, as well as the other platforms, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, anything you can think of.
That's right.
It's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's on there. I've made sure that we've put everything on every platform that you can go. And then as far as the YouTube angle goes, we would like to start doing actual video podcasts or video episodes where you can see our face, or we give you a 15-minute update on a story, but it's actually a face with the voice and you can see it. We're working on that right now. We don't have that up and going yet, but we just want to let you guys know. And if it's something that you would value, then we would definitely look into doing it. But that YouTube aspect brings in a different dynamic to the podcast. And we want this to be just like any other podcast you would see or listen to, where we have video, we have audio, we have different things. We'd like to do a Patreon account where we could add different material to it, or behind the scenes stuff, or extra episodes. And so that's kind of the direction that we're looking to go in.
And it's all about accessibility. We want people that are interested in these topics that appreciate what we have to offer to be able to access it anywhere they can have an internet connection, essentially, or download it and take it with them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's what kind of tying all of those different platforms together and pushing the content out to any of them, you would have multiple angles of where you want to actually.
Yeah, except for a few of podcasts and things that I read, I've really gotten away from the amount of cases that I would review and listen to and research. So I'm actually really excited to get back into that too. I've started a couple weeks ago after we had talked about it, because there's a lot of good ones out there. Not, I know it sounds weird to say that about murder, but there's a lot of things I'd like to talk about. And there's I think there's a couple of cases that we've even talked about that have updates.
Yes.
So yeah, that will be fun to address those as well. Because what's the one we always get asked about because we live around here?
The Thomas Brown.
Thomas Brown.
Yep.
Every person I work with that knows I do this podcast has asked me about it specifically at one time or another. Hey, Mike, when are you doing Tom Brown? I'm like, are you listening to the episodes?
Yeah, because we already did it.
Because it's in there. It's the only 3-parter we have, and the only one we have the most amount of access to. Because if you have listened to it, cool, and if you haven't, it's because we went out and spoke to his mother. Because they're local, and in my line of work, I go to Canadian twice a week. It helps knowing my way around and to put a visual to the details that you read about or heard about if you're listening. So yeah, I'm really excited to get back into that too and bring updates. So many exciting cases. I would even say if there are ones that people want to listen to, that they could say something.
Yeah.
If there's a specific one you'd like us to talk about or take a look at or offer our insight and perspective, go for it.
Yeah, reach out to us on the social media platforms and the email, and I'll drop those here at the end. But one of the ones that it might be interesting to go back and look at was that Vicky White case we did with the collateral damage.
Wow, yeah.
We talked about that the other day, how when we did that episode, it was only a week or two after the whole incident had taken place, and we didn't have a whole lot of information as to what specifically happened. And now that we're several years out from that case,
I mean, yeah, it's on Netflix,
and they did a Netflix episode or series on it. We got a lot of it correct.
We did, yeah, and that was us being speculative.
Yeah, not tooting our own horn, but it just based off of the information that we had and our background, we were able to piece together a lot of that. I think that some of the other, maybe not some of the other podcasts, but if you were just reading the story or trying to figure out what happened, we were able to kind of tie a lot of that together. And that's the value we hope we bring to you guys. That's the value we're trying to get to you guys with our past experience in policing and investigating stuff. We want to bring that value to you guys, and that's what we're trying to do on this podcast.
Yes, we are. That was really cool. And wow, I wonder how much. Now I need to go back and listen to it so I can make those links myself. Like, what did we say? The things we said specifically, because I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I listened to I saw something come up on one of my feeds, and it was a podcast about Vicky White and that, and I was like, oh, we did that a couple years ago. So I would listen to the podcast, and they referenced that Netflix show, several times, and then I went back and listened to our episode, and I was like, hey, we didn't do a terrible job on that at all.
That's awesome. That feels good.
Yeah,
that feels really good.
So that is some of what we are looking to do in the future. And we just wanted to get on here and touch base with you guys and let you kind of know what's been going on for the last couple of years with the job, the busy lives that everybody leads. We understand that. And I'm sure that based on the amount of feedback that we had over the last couple of years, there were people that were looking for it, but I also know that there are a lot of people that were subscribed to the show that left,
right?
Because they thought we probably bailed and we're never coming back.
Sure. I hope that they hear it and they change their mind. And a thank you to everyone that did reach out to us over the 2.5 years that messaged us or otherwise. That was really cool. That felt really good and was a motivating factor in helping us try to get back into this. We always wanted to
just didn't have the
Everyone's just
time.
so busy,
Yeah.
and I know this sounds normal or really cliche to say, but 2024 was a weird year.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was so busy. The economy. I mean, we could get started on that. Do you
Yeah.
remember? Do you remember how old you were when you started caring about that?
Not until I was the economy.
Yeah,
Not until I was well into being an adult.
yeah. Sadly, and
Mhm.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. One day you just start caring about it, and then you never stop caring about it, and your life is a little sadder. I think,
Yeah.
because of that.
And you think to yourself, like, I have some money, and then all of a sudden you're like, I have no money.
Yeah,
Why is this?
We actually joked about this when we were talking about the podcast a couple weeks ago, where it seems like, I don't know, maybe it's a generational thing, but no matter how much harder I work or the better that I think I'm doing, the economy is just getting worse.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have money, then the economy gets worse, and I'm like, oh, I don't have any money.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm broke again.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Car payments, insane. Rent, insane. Like 2024 was such a weird year. I'm so glad to see it gone now. And starting it off, literally starting the new year off, sitting and recording and getting the podcast going again. If that's a marker for how much better this year is going to be, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're in a good spot.
Yeah, we're in a good spot.
I'm already in a better spot right now because I'm back. We're back here. We're recording together, and I think it's going to be a good run.
I think so.
But if you guys, so like as I mentioned before, if you guys hung around, thank you so much. We appreciate you waiting on us. If you know someone who used to listen to the podcast, make sure and tell them that we're back.
Yeah, and please come back.
Yeah, please come back.
We missed you. Please
Yeah.
come back.
We're not starting over, but we're definitely not picking back up exactly where we were as far as viewership goes.
I know. I wasn't nervous before, but I was a little nervous getting ready to start. I don't know why. There's no reason to. I'm just talking to my friend.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, geez, am I going to sound the same? What was I like before?
Yeah.
I didn't prepare for this enough, but what is it to prepare for? It's the same thing that we've always done. So I'm really excited to get into these cases because I'm just out of practice.
Yeah.
I just haven't done it so much.
I have not. When I got ready to record the first episode back, which we will discuss further in the next episode in the debrief.
Yeah, more to come on that.
I had to, the recording that came out was my third attempt at recording that podcast because I was so rusty and remembering how to use the software to edit the podcast and add the music and do all the stuff. It's like I pulled it up. I knew how to hit the record button. And then when it was all said and done, I'm like, is my heart rate elevated? It is. Why is my heart rate elevated? Why am I nervous? I'm sitting in my house by myself recording an episode. If there's no one here, why am I nervous?
Right.
And whereas before we left off, it was like showed up, slap a high five. We're like, record, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, we had it down to an hour and a half, I think, is the shortest amount of time. And that's with the BS session before and the short one after, because that's how it works for us. And I'm sure for anybody who does that type of work, that's what it's like, because we're not seeing each other. We work in two totally different fields. We have families, yada, yada. So we see each other. It's catching up, down to business, and then saying goodbye, and then see you in a couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah, that's literally how it went. And so we'll might be a little rusty kicking back off, which is kind of weird being over 50 episodes into a podcast and then saying you're rusty, because we had everything ironed out. We're coming back. We thank everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming back. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome.
Yeah.
But we are on Facebook, Murder Project. We're on Instagram at The Murder Project. We have an email, and that's contact@themurderproject.com. If you guys want to reach out and tell us anything as far as stories or cases that you would like for us to cover, we look forward to hearing everybody. But I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to break this episode. We heard, you guys got to hear kind of what we were up to. We are now going to cut and go to the next episode. So stick around. The next episode is going to be the debrief on the Ruby family tragedy. Mike and I are super excited to get into that. So in this episode, click on the next episode and get ready because the Murder Project is back.
That's right. And don't forget them 5 stars.
Got to get them
We
5
need 'em.
stars.
We need them.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode and letting us kind of spill our guts about what we've been doing over the last couple of years.
Yes, sir.
We will be back for more. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening, and we will talk with you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.